Good morning. My name is Wally Kelly, and I'm the Health Center Chaplain here at the Mornings. And I welcome you to Chaplain's Corner this Saturday morning, February 12th, 2022. Language is fascinating. It's amazing to me how words or phrases have changed their meaning over the years or disappeared altogether. I came across one example of this when the architect Christopher Wren was showing off the completed St. Paul's Cathedral in London to King James. The monarch replied, "It's awful." But far from being a harsh criticism, it was high praise, full of awe. Awful. But recently came across a TED Talk. I don't know if you've ever looked at one of those, but it's a very interesting thing where someone takes 10 or 15 minutes and talks about interesting subjects. So if you're interested, just Google TED Talk, and you get a whole list of options of things that you can look at. One in particular is from a professor from the University of Michigan named Ann Curzan. And she talks about this phenomenon of language. She gives a wonderful list of words whose meanings have changed and new words that have popped up. One new slang word she mentions is my favorite. It's hangry. You ever heard of hangry? It's a widely accepted meaning of being hungry and angry at the same time. I have been hangry. I don't know if you have or not. Words and phrases do change, but sometimes they even disappear altogether. Consider the phrase "just desserts." That phrase appeared to be lost until recently. Just desserts is, if not a phrase, most certainly a feeling that is out there these days. The phrase comes from around the 15th century, and it means getting what they deserve. It's popped back up in these days of the coronavirus pandemic. Just consider a few things here. In this time when politicians, health experts, and social media are imploring people to stay home and isolate themselves as much as possible, it's so maddening to see young people disregarding the warnings and communing at crowded beaches or in bars, often in communities that are populated by senior citizens, the folks that they say are most susceptible to the virus. But just as puzzling and to me infuriating are some pastors who encourage their congregations to continue worship services in person without mask or anything like that, without taking any precautions at all. One Sunday during the height of the global pandemic last year, I read about a pastor in Baton Rouge who welcomed over 1,000 of his parishioners to worship, and he passed out what he called anointed handkerchiefs, which he said would protect them from the virus, which he really said was a political hoax. One can't help but be aware of the unchristlike words, quick to come to the mind and oftentimes past the lips. I hope they get their just desserts, that they get what they deserve. You know, in this most anxious time, it's not all that difficult to become so incensed or angry that we wish those playing so loose with their own health and the health of others should get what they deserve. I know that's not a very Christian attitude, but you know, sometimes it just gets you. You know, it just gets you angry, but that really moves us to a deeper question: what if everybody got exactly what they deserved? And even scarier yet, what if we ourselves got what we deserve? C.S. Lewis once woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. He was having a dream, a frightening dream for him about the hereafter. He was focused on a theological concept that what we receive in the hereafter is what we have given here on earth. That is, if we've given love, we receive love. But if we've given judgment, we receive judgment. Lewis was startled by the thought of the hereafter as the place where we get what we're given. We get what we deserve. Of course, Lewis modified this way of thinking as evidenced in the Chronicles of Narnia, The Great Divorce, and other wonderful books that he wrote. But the dream does make you stop and think, doesn't it? It's always a good time to reflect on the Beatitudes. And it seems to me that for today, a good one to focus on is blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. And to understand this beatitude, we must get at the meaning of the word mercy. It's a rich word. It's deep in meaning and significance. The word comes from the Hebrew word for mercy, which is hesed. Hesed mercy is not merely sympathizing, nor does it mean to simply feel sorry for someone in trouble, to have pity. Hesed mercy is the ability to step into someone else's shoes, to see things from their perspective, to think with their minds and to feel with their emotions. To be merciful, therefore, is an intentional act of the will, a deliberate attempt to show concern at the deepest level. Several years ago, Fred Craddock, who passed away I believe it was last year, Fred was a gifted preacher and taught in seminaries. He was really a teacher of preachers, and he was in Atlanta speaking to a very prestigious group of people in an exclusive club in the heart of the city. And as he sat down at the head table, he noticed that the man sitting next to him looked very familiar, yet he couldn't come up with his name. So finally, Dr. Craddock stuck out his hand and said, "Hi, I'm Fred Craddock. I don't believe we've ever met before." The other gentleman smiled a bit nervously and said, "Hello, Dr. Craddock. It's nice to meet you. My name is John Ehrlichman. You've probably heard of me. I served in the Nixon administration." Dr. Craddock was stunned. "Well, yes, I've heard of you. You were one of the Watergate people. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you." Ehrlichman replied, "Oh, that's okay. Most people, when they recognize me, turn away and don't want to be seen with me. I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable." "Uncomfortable?" Dr. Craddock said. "Why? Why should you make me feel uncomfortable?" And Ehrlichman said, "Because of the things I did. I committed some serious moral offenses, and you're a minister, and the church is not very tolerant of such things." With that, Dr. Craddock put his hand on John Ehrlichman's arm and said, "My friend, hasn't anyone spoken to you about mercy and grace and love and forgiveness?" Great big tears came to Ehrlichman's eyes. "No, I'm afraid they haven't. Not much at all." In these stressful days, these almost 2 years that have disrupted our lives and even taken lives, it would seem to be important to reconsider the mercy of God. And in the anger and resentment we seem to come in contact with so much, perhaps a guiding principle may be found in the heavenly perspective of mercy found and mercy shared. So today, take some time to consider a moment when you have received mercy. Thank God for that moment. And if the person who was the intermediary of that mercy is alive, write or call them or to express the gratitude of grace. Be an instrument to mercy to someone today. Who do you know that's struggling right now? Pressed down by anger, resentment, or fear? Take time to pray for them and reach out to them in a call or a letter, simply saying something like, I was thinking of you today, wondering how you're doing. Hopefully, it will provide an opportunity for grace. And I want to close with an unusual prayer today. It's in the form of a song written by Don Henley and Glenn Fry of the rock band The Eagles in response to the September 11th, 2001 attacks. I think it's relevant today as well. There's a hole in the world tonight. There's a cloud of fear and sorrow. There's a hole in the world tonight. Don't let there be a hole in the world tomorrow. They say that anger is just love disappointed. They say that love is just a state of mind. But all this fighting over who is anointed, oh, how can people be so blind? There's a hole in the world tonight. There's a cloud of fear and sorrow. There's a hole in the world tonight. Don't let there be a hole in the world tomorrow. Oh, they tell me there's a place over yonder, cool water running through the burning sand. Until we learn to love one another, we will never reach the promised land. Amen. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.